Hey guys, it's Kevin, and this is my review for Glee Season 6, Episode 10, The Rise and Fall of Sylvester. Now, I really was not looking forward to this episode. I didn't think it was going to be good. I thought, especially because the Sue-centric episodes this season have been really, really bad. I didn't think this episode was going to be good, but wow, this episode was amazing. It really was. I mean, this episode was probably the best episode of the season, I have to say. I mean, this might have been Jane Lynch's best performance on the show. It really might have been. I mean, she was genuinely very funny in this episode. And that was a problem I had with the Hurt Lockers, that they just went too far and made her unfunny. But this episode, I loved it because it really focused more on Sue's character and more on how she is as an overall person, which I think is a lot more interesting than just Sue turning against New Directions. That's a lot more interesting. So let's just get into this episode, which I really want to talk about because we have 4 episodes left, and definitely a lot of things are starting to happen, and I love that. The thing I liked about this episode that I was kind of worried about is that this episode was just going to focus on Sue, but no, it really focused on the New Directions as a whole, which I also really like, but let's just get into this episode. So, we start off with the New Directions performing the song Rather Be, and I thought it was a really good performance. I definitely really enjoyed it. Myron wasn't annoying in this episode, which was good. I like that. He wasn't annoying. He actually was kind of funny. I like Myron's character, I have to say. I really was, upset about the kid and everything, but that's just because he was really annoying last week. But this week, he was actually a lot better. I thought the way they did his character here, I definitely liked a lot more than last week. So, they perform the song, and Rachel is not there. Will is there, and we're all wondering where Rachel is. They explain a little bit later. But Blaine and Kurt are there, and they're back from their honeymoon, and Will thinks they're just back to visit and everything, and basically he asks them their opinion on the song, and you can see that Blaine's really shaken up about something, and you don't know what it is. And we find out that Dalton there was a fire at Dalton, and it was burned to the ground, and now the Warblers are homeless and have nowhere to perform. So I thought there was actually a very interesting conflict. Now, when I initially read them, like, this is kind of stupid and kind of silly that they just form a supergroup, but it really worked, I have to say, because the way they did that, I definitely really enjoyed, because it really is a major conflict. I mean, the New Directions have never really had to combine with anyone, so I definitely really like that, except for the band. That's really it. So basically, the New Directions are forced to pair with the Warblers, and Sue is outraged about this. She's saying this is not going to stand, it's a terrible idea, and they can't do this because it's against the show choir rules. It's against the show choir rules, but the thing is, now they have enough people to compete in sectionals, which I like seeing. I definitely like that they have enough people to compete in sectionals. That was definitely very good to see. So, basically, now they have enough people to compete and everything, so that's really good. But Sue is outraged about this, and I love what they did after this scene with Becky. Becky's character in this episode, that's the Becky I love seeing. What they do to Becky in this episode, oh, I loved it. Because Daryl was back, and I have to say, when Daryl's on screen with Becky, he makes Becky more human. He really does. And I love that about Daryl. I've said this before. I love that Daryl just treats Becky like a normal human being, but he also treats her in a way that he makes her better. He's really making her better, which I love seeing about Daryl. That's something I'm definitely really enjoying about his character. So, basically, Becky is completely outraged. She's saying this is ridiculous, that she won't let them perform, and I like seeing that Becky was genuinely upset because, I mean, we've seen before that she basically is just a Sue clone. That's what we've seen before of her. So, I really like seeing was actually the other way around, where she is pissed at Sue, even to the point where she tells her that they're not friends anymore. She's pissed at her. I mean, she thought that she, was a different person than this. She thought that she had some sort of limit. You would think that Sue had something that she would at least understand, but no, she's not being understanding. So, as a result, what does Becky do? Becky completely turns her back on her and says, look, I'm not your friend anymore. Bye-bye, you can do what you want, but I'm not your friend anymore. And Sue blames this on Daryl, and that was an amazing scene to see, I have to say. So, Sue told Will before that she was going to go to the superintendent to see how he feels about it, and then but before that happens, we see Rachel. Now, Rachel is trying to get back into Nyada. She decides that, now that she is, because now she wants to really have some direction in her life, and she wants to go back to Nyada, see if Carmen Thibodeau can give her a second chance, which, in reality, yeah, you can do that, but, I mean, I didn't really know how that was going to work out, I have to say, but, I mean, it's understandable. I mean, Rachel's such a different person from then till now, and I really do like that. A lot of people have said Rachel's very repetitive and things like that, but no, her writing has been so good this season because she's such a different kind of character. Ever since she was fired from her television show, she's just been such a different character, and she's so much more careful. And she doesn't think of it as just a small step towards another goal. No, she thinks of it as her goal, basically. And I like that she is deciding to focus on one thing, Nyada or Broadway. And she gets a very difficult decision with that, but I'll get to that. So Sue goes to superintendent, and this scene just, oh, I loved it. I thought this was great. We find out that Will is also there, and when Mitch looked through her when Mitch was investigating about Sue, he went through her hurt locker, and he saw all the stuff that was in her hurt locker, and I love that they make fun of it. Definitely, I love that they did that, which I really enjoyed seeing, I have to say, because I mean, they were making that seem like it was just a normal thing. It was ridiculous the way they were showing it. So I love in this episode that they actually kind of made fun of it and showed really how stupid that plot really is. And then Mitch got completely terrified when he saw that she had a picture of Myron with X's on his eyes, and that made him realize that, yeah, she's kind of a psychopath, and basically told her that not only is she not allowed to be in their school, but not around any other school, and he fires her. I literally clapped at the screen and went, yes, finally, because you have no idea. That is the one thing I have wanted to happen this season, is Sue getting fired. I have wanted that woman to get fired since the beginning, since episode 4 of this season, and now she is finally fired, and I loved seeing that, because what I thought the rest of the episode was going to be is an interview between Sue with this, guy from Fox News, Geraldo. I thought that's what the episode was going to be. Luckily, it doesn't focus on that the whole episode, which I was happy about, because I was worried that the whole episode was just going to focus on that, which we can't do, because we have 4 episodes left. We need to show the new Directions and the Warblers working together. I mean, and I like that Glee realized that, but we do get a whole interview with Sue and this guy, Geraldo, from Fox News, and this, I thought, was just amazing to see, I have to say. This was an amazing scene, definitely, because it just shows all the different things that are happening to Sue. I mean, he's talking about all the lies that she's made and things like that, and we even see that all the celebrities that she claimed to be, with romantically or sexually are completely denying her, and you really see how crazy she is. It also kind of shows how lonely she is, which I like seeing, because, I mean, really, Sue is very lonely. I mean, she had her sister, and she lost her sister. Maybe that's why she has gone crazy, because they do say you get crazier as the older you get and the lonelier you get, and when you're lonely, you get crazy. So I have to say, I am kind of sympathetic towards her in some ways. There are ways I am sort of sympathetic towards Sue. I don't, you guys might not understand why, but I think in a way Sue kind of is sympathetic. But basically, he tells her, we see Michael Bolton even denies having sexual relations with her, which that's just like slam in the face right there. And they even spoke to Rod and Andrea, and Andrea talks about how she was, and it was great to see Rod and Andrea again. Oh my god, I love seeing those two. Rod talks about how Sue liked him, but she really did go too far and was very controlling, and Andrea talks about how Sue kidnapped her and everything. And I love that they talked about this, because, I mean, for the whole show, everyone has thought of Sue as this great person. They never thought of her as a bad person. The last time we saw Sue be this humiliated was in Season 2, the Sue-Sylvester Super Bowl Shuffle. That was the only time we've ever seen Sue actually be humiliated. This was just, oh my god, so much is happening at once. And she's talking about how the one thing that she cares about most is kids, but basically Geraldo says, yeah, I don't think that's true, because we interviewed every single one of the Glee kids, and they tell about everything that she did to them. Kurt and Blaine talk about how the robot thing and everything, and she got them to kiss, and how obsessed she was with them. Artie talks about how she slashed his tires. We saw, Joe again. Yes, Joe Hart from Season 3 is back in this episode, and that was awesome to see. She cut off his dreads, and I definitely like seeing it. I thought that was really funny to see, definitely. I love seeing Joe Hart again. Mercedes talks about how, how racist she was and things like that, and just how bad of a woman she really is, and I really like seeing that. Just shows the impact she has had on all of these kids, and I definitely really enjoyed seeing that. It just shows how, and Rachel talks about the opening night and everything, which I'm happy she talked about that, because you know what? That was a terrible thing that Sue did to them. So they are pissed at Sue for what she did, and Sue's denying all this. She's like, oh, they have no idea what they're talking about, but then they get Becky on there, and this was awesome. Becky talks about how she was loyal to Sue, and Daryl says that when he met Becky, he thought that she was just joking around about the stuff she was saying about Sue. He didn't realize how evil and how much of a devil and how much of a psychotic person Sue really is, and I really like seeing that as well, because Becky's not working for her anymore. Becky's not her friend anymore, and Daryl puts it straight. Daryl basically said how I feel about Sue is that she should be put behind bars. She really should. I mean, Daryl said that, and I have to agree, Sue should be in jail for things she did, but she's not in jail because she's gotten away with it her whole life, and I love that they finally addressed that. So then supposedly they go to commercial, but we eventually find out that they actually never went to commercial. He just did that to test her to see how she would be off air, and she is a complete crazy person off air and everything. And then we get the big reveal in this episode, which I absolutely love. This was an amazing reveal. We see Sue's mother again, Doris, who we haven't seen her since season 2. It was great to see her again. Doris talks about how she wasn't actually a Nazi hunter. She only said that so that way she wouldn't be, so that way she would get out of Sue's hair, because she was so afraid of Sue. I mean, Sue was a pretty psychotic kid. We find out that she was a pretty fucked up kid, I have to say. I mean, she did some really fucked up things to her, and including trying to set her on fire multiple times, just some really crazy shit, guys, definitely. And I love that we found that out as well, because, I mean, the thing with her mother, I have to say that I really enjoyed seeing with her mother, that, you know, that I really did like, is the fact that we saw, that we basically, you know, the fact that we actually, you know, there was something was very off about her mother the last time we met her. Now totally makes sense, because she wasn't actually there for her. She didn't want anything to do with her. Now, some people, I can understand if they think it's just as ridiculous, but I actually really like it, because, it just shows someone that was affected by Sue and the impact she had on people. This isn't so much about just Sue as a character. It's about the impact that Sue had on people. But we do see that there are two people that actually had something nice to say about Sue. The first one was Sheldon. Sheldon talks about how Sue was there for him, his transition, and how she helped him get out of a abusive relationship and everything. So I like seeing that. And Will, surprisingly, which I'm actually not surprised about, because they have had their moments, and I like what he says about her, because it's kind of true. Sue, as crazy as she might be, is a fierce leader, and she is the perfect leader that they need, and she's very controlling, and that's what you kind of need for a leader. I mean, that's what Sue is. She is their leader, and they need that back from her. So I like that he definitely said that. I definitely really enjoyed that, and Sue, though, is still crushed about this, especially with what happened with her mother. She's not so crushed about the fact that she wasn't a Nazi hunter. She's crushed about the fact that, and I love the scene where Sue's in the choir room and they're playing that depressing song, and she's like, thank you for playing my depressing tune of Melancholia. I thought that was hilarious. And I have to say, that's one of the things I think really worked about this episode, was that the other episodes with Sue were not funny. They weren't, and this actually was, which I thought was great. And her mother, Doris, comes by, and she asked her mother a very honest question, is that, did she ever love her? And she said that she didn't really ever love her, because she was scared of her, and she didn't really know what to do with her. She wasn't the easiest child to deal with, and I like that Sue honestly apologized to her and told her that she was sorry for what she did. It really made her realize that, you know what, maybe I am a bad person. It kind of made me realize for a second that Sue maybe would change. I kind of thought Sue was going to change there, but that's not what ended up happening. And they performed the song, the trolley song, which I love that song from Meet Me in St. Louis, and it was really funny the way they did it. It was a cute performance overall. I thought it was definitely better than Ohio. Ohio was not good, I have to say. That was not a good performance. This was a very cute performance. Seeing her mother again was great to see, and I love that Sue just did it because she loves to hear the sound of her own voice. I thought that was really funny, and I definitely really enjoyed that. So that was really good. So after that happens, we then see the Warblers interact. We then see basically the Warblers are, Rachel's back because Rachel, of course, was off to see Carmen, and we find out that Rachel was actually Carmen slammed the door in Rachel's face and wanted nothing to do with her, and basically just told her to go away. So Mercedes is convinced this is a terrible idea, and I have to kind of agree with her. I mean, it is better for Rachel to go on Broadway than to go back to Nyada because it's better to do that. I understand Rachel wants to correct the mistakes she made last year, but you can't fix everything. Rachel needs to realize that she can't fix everything. She thinks she can, and she can't. She can't fix everything. And basically, Mercedes tells her that she belongs on Broadway and she should be on Broadway. However, Sam's convinced that maybe this might be the best thing for her is to be at Nyada and start over again. But she does get a call from that Broadway musical that she completely forgot about and realized that she actually got into it, which I was very happy for her about. And she's thinking, you know what, maybe I don't need Nyada, and I really like seeing Rachel be in between these two. The old Rachel would have never done that. She would have said, you know what, I'm doing Nyada and I'm doing the musical. But no, this Rachel's like, you know what, I'm doing one and I need to choose one, because I like that she's like that, because when you apply to a college, you need to focus on college. When you're in a Broadway musical, you need to focus on a Broadway musical. That's just how life works, and I love that Rachel realized that in this episode. So we then go back to the Warblers and New Directions, and there's a huge conflict going on with them. And I actually really like this. Now, the Warblers, of course, they haven't changed. They're still wearing their uniforms, and the New Directions are not comfortable with this. And I understand why. I mean, they kind of feel like they're two separate choirs, and they want to be one big show choir rather than feel like two. Because, they're wearing casual clothes, and they're wearing their uniforms, and the Warriors are telling them that this is who they are, and this is who they want to be. They want to wear their uniforms, and if they can't accept that, then whatever. But they're very happy. I like that they were genuinely happy to be there. I thought that was very good as well. I definitely really enjoyed that, and that was great to see. So, they're really going through that whole conflict, which I really like seeing, and they even talk about how the New Directions doesn't have uniforms. They just have clothes where they wear Converse and matching clothes, and I like they talked about that because they're not uniforms, they're just costumes, and they really don't know what to do here. They're very torn between the two. I like seeing Blaine also work with Rachel, Kurt, and Will. I have to say, I think their dynamic in this episode was probably the strongest yet. Adding Blaine into the mix really made it very strong. I definitely really enjoyed seeing that. I thought that was very good to see, and that was really great to see. I love that. So yeah, that was great. I love seeing that. But then we find out that Sheldon says that there's even worse news. It's not as bad. That there's more news than they think. There's more bad news than they think and everything. And that is that Sue has now joined the Vocal Adrenaline and is now the director of Vocal Adrenaline. And I love seeing her work with Vocal Adrenaline because she's the perfect person to work with them. Now, of course, this is kind of a repeat of her working with Aural Intensity. There is that. Because, she did work with Aural Intensity in second season, I believe. But this is a little bit different because now she's doing it because she wants to find her own work and she wants to be a fierce leader and things like that. And basically, she talks about how she has this thing called the barf, I think it was called, like, the barf 2K or something like that, and it's, like, a bunch of sit-ups and things like that, but I loved Far From Over, I have to say. That is by far my favorite Vocal Adrenaline performance from this season. Even though I didn't really like the performance, I loved the song in general. I listened to it a lot, I really enjoyed it, and I love the song overall. I think it's a great song, I definitely really enjoyed it, and I think they did a very good job with it. So Clint at first was very hesitant, but says, you know what, you're perfect for us, come and join us, and she's perfect for them because they're terrible, and she's terrible, and they've just mixed very well together, so I definitely really enjoyed seeing that. That was very good. So Sam talks to Rachel, and I have to say, I know those people don't like Sam and Rachel, but to me, this was their strongest episode yet. This was the most believable we've seen from Sam and Rachel, because Sam really cares about Rachel here and wants her to make an honest decision about what she really wants to do, and tells her, look, you have to make a decision here about what you want to do. You can't just do one thing. You have to choose you can't just go back to Broadway. You have to do Nyada first. And I like that he says that to her because she does have other options. There are other options besides going back to Broadway because we know what happened last time. She went to Nyada. She quit Nyada, went to Broadway, quit Broadway for the TV show. I mean, she really needs to decide what she really wants to do here. Plus, there's Will, who I think still wants her to be, the director for New Directions. Because, one, the kids really like her. Two, she's actually very good at it, I have to say. She's doing a very good job at being the director of New Directions, definitely. I mean, Will always is going to be the pick for the main leader, but I think Rachel is doing a very good job with that, working with Will. I definitely think she's doing a very good job with that. So she then gets a call from Carmen and says that she can be reinstated. So she really has to make a decision here about what she wants to do. And I like that she's very unsure about what she really wants to do there, and I definitely really enjoyed that. And now, she also was talking about the uniforms and things like that, so I really like that they were talking about that because that's something that we definitely needed to see from them. So, Sam talks to Will about it, but then we hear Sue's back, and this was hilarious, I have to say. This reminded me of Season 1 Throwdown, and I love that because that is one of my favorite episodes of Season 1, one of my favorite episodes of Glee in general, because I have to say, the Sue and Will fight, it's hilarious, and this was also just as hilarious. Sue wants to finally destroy New Directions, and Will's like, I can't believe, you've said that way too much, and I love that they show, their continuity this season is on fire, I have to say. Everyone has said that, but I have to agree. Their continuity things, they're just on fire. They remember everything, and I love it, and Will basically tells her that she needs to stop saying that so much, and they end up doing a battle, a sing off for the final countdown, and in their mind they're picturing them as rock stars, and then Rachel and Sam and Blaine and Kurt come in and all the Glee Club, and they see them acting like idiots because in their mind they are rock stars. So you see them like banging a guitar, but really just banging their hand and banging their hand and looking like idiots. I thought that was hilarious to see. Probably one of my favorite, the funniest moment of the season, I have to say. So funny, so weird, but it makes sense for Sue and Will. I mean, they've always been weird. They've always had these weird fights, and I love that. That was so funny, and that had me cracking up. I didn't think I was going to laugh at it, but I did. I thought it was genuinely hilarious. I mean, because this is their music. This is the music that they know, and I love that they were doing that. That was so funny to see, and I loved it. Thought that was absolutely hilarious, just so funny. One of my favorite moments of the episode by far was their fight. Absolutely hilarious. So Will then apologizes for them seeing that, and I thought that was really great. And they talk about Rachel's future and how things are going to be, and Will says that at the end of the day, the thing that he cares about most is all of them and the friends that he's made, and I really like that he says that to them because it's true. They really have been there for him, and they really have created a great bond. I definitely really enjoyed that about their bond, definitely. And at the end of the episode, Blaine tells them that they have the uniforms taken care of, but they do find out one last thing, and this is pretty crazy when we find this out. They get a call from the superintendent, and we find out that not only is this going to be this, if they don't win sectionals, not only is this going to be the last performance for the New Directions, it's going to be the last, but all the arts will be cut completely from the entire Ohio state, and Myron is freaking out about it, and I love seeing the side of Myron. This is the side of Myron we should have seen last week. The Myron we saw in this episode, that's the Myron that I want to see. He was so funny when he's yelling at Rachel about this and saying, how can I perform? What am I going to do with all these sequin jackets? It was such a funny line, and I love that about Myron. I mean, if you have that side of Myron, that's the side I want, not this annoying bratty side. No, the side that's just so into theater. And there was a great line as well when the Warblers talked about impressing with sex appeal, and Myron's like, I'm in, and I laughed hysterically. I have to say, he was really funny in this episode, and Myron's a character that is very funny when you don't make him too stupid, and I think this worked definitely. I thought that was very funny. So now they have a real issue to deal with, and they're very worried, and they don't know what they're going to do, but They then performed the song Rise, which was an original song written by Darren Criss, which let's just give him an up for that, because that is amazing that he could write that song, and he did an amazing job, and it's a perfect song for him to write, because it's also the time that Blaine decides to give the new Directions and the Warblers, or the new Warblerrections, as people are calling it, uniforms, and basically they're these red blazers that I think look really well, and they're going to use that in sectionals, and I definitely really enjoyed that. And Rise was an amazing song, great right in the episode, because it really shows the episode, and I love the way it ended. So overall, guys, it was actually a pretty flawless episode. I have to say, I really have no complaints with this episode. I had a great time with it. I really had fun with this episode, definitely. I thought it was, the thing that worked about this episode was that it was funny. It was. It made me laugh. Hurt Locker wasn't funny. It was stupid. The stuff with, like, the stuff they had in there, this was so much better than that. Now, some people are saying this episode was very fucked up. This is nothing compared to the Hurt Locker. The Hurt Locker was so much worse than this. This was nothing. This was nothing bad. I loved it so much more than... It could have been so much better than it ultimately was. Really, it could have been a lot better, and it really was a great episode. I love seeing Sue join, be the main director of Vocal Adrenaline. I think that really suits her very well, and I definitely feel like Sue, it's not going to end happily for her. In fact, they said that the ending to Sue is actually very tragic, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they actually end her character, because that's going to be very funny to see. In case you guys don't know, next week's episode is going to be the last episode in present time, because in 2009, I believe we go 5 years later, and then we have flashbacks to 2009, and the series finale is 5 years later, so I think that's what they're doing. But next week, I can't wait to see. But of course, I'm not going to be able to watch it live, because as I said in the announcement video, I have a musical next week and everything, so I'm going to get that up at some point. I don't know when, but... I also thought it was very funny that they did mention Quinn, Santana, and Brittany. They said that they were going to say something, but they didn't comment on Sue, so I thought that was really funny as well. What is Rachel going to do here? What is she going to decide? I mean, she really needs to make a choice between Nyada and Broadway. There's no really in-between. I think that's actually a very good arc, and it really just shows how far her character has come. As I said, I definitely really like seeing that, and I think they're doing a very good job developing that. What's going to happen with the new Warblerrections? Are they going to win sectionals? I really hope they do. We'll see what happens there. I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen. Sue and Will's feud. I really hope that Sue and Will's feud ends next week, because if it does, I really want it to end in a very epic way. I think it could end in a very cool way, and I definitely want to see how that overall ends. And also, it definitely seems like there's still going to be some conflicts between the new Warblerrections. We saw the promo for next week's episode, and it looks great. It really does. I can't wait to see how next week's episode is. Next week, guys, is the final sectionals ever. It's the last competition we will ever have from Glee, and it's really sad, but there are 3 episodes left. Oh my god, guys. 3 episodes left of Glee. 2 if you count, two if you count, basically, two if you count the 2-hour episode, but I'm not. I'm counting it as 2 separate episodes, because I can't believe there's 3 episodes left, but this was actually a very good episode. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually very funny, and I'll see you guys, and honestly, in my opinion, was probably the best episode of the season. Definitely the best episode since A Wedding. Definitely the best episode since that, and that's in my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for the series premiere of the Netflix series Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.